All right, let's talk about something that might just be the secret ingredient, the hidden hinge that all greatness swings on. I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. We are living in a world of absolute magic. We're warm when it's freezing, cool when it's blazing hot, and we're almost never truly hungry. You can snap your fingers and summon food, entertainment, distractions, things that ancient emperors couldn't even fathom. If you want it, chances are you can get it, like right now. But here's the big, glaring paradox, right? With all this freedom, all this power at our fingertips, you'd think we'd be thriving. But for so many people, it just doesn't feel that way. This incredible freedom often feels less like a gift and more like a heavy burden. So what gives? And that gets us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, the modern paradox. The issue isn't that we have too much freedom. It's that we've completely misunderstood what freedom is all about. There's a perfect way to put this. We've confused liberty with a license. A license to just do whatever we want, whenever the impulse strikes. And what's the result? We end up feeling totally adrift, kind of vulnerable, and our lives feel disordered. We're drowning in choices, but have no inner compass to point the way.
Well, this is where a guy like Dwight D. Eisenhower comes in with a game-changing way to look at it. He said, freedom isn't the finish line. Nope, freedom is the opportunity for self-discipline. It's the key ingredient that lets you take all that power and access you have and turn it into a blessing instead of a curse. Because without that self-restraint, freedom is just another word for chaos.
Which leads us to the real battlefield. And guess what? It's not out there in the world. The real fight is happening inside each and every one of us. You know this feeling. We've all got these two sides at war inside us, right? There's your higher self. That's the part of you that wants to build, to strive, to reach for something better. It seeks balance and focus. And then there's the lower self, the part that's drawn to chaos, to excess, to distraction, the part that always wants to take the easy way out. You know, the ancient Greeks actually had a word for this feeling, Akrasia. It literally means acting against your own better judgment. That feeling when you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, but you do the opposite anyway? Yup, that's Akrasia. It's not a new problem, it's a human problem. Maybe the best way to think about this whole struggle is the metaphor of the charioteer. Picture yourself driving a chariot, being pulled by two massive, powerful horses. Those horses are your higher and lower selves. Now, if you want to win the race of life, you can't just let them run wild. You've got to have a firm, steady grasp on the reins, using a mix of toughness and kindness to steer through life's insane hairpin turns without completely crashing and burning. Okay, so how do you get that firm grasp? Through self-discipline. But we have to totally rethink what that word means. This isn't about boring yourself to death or depriving yourself of everything good. It's about power. It's about taking command. So, what does this actually look like day to day? Well, self-discipline is simply the ability to keep your own house in order. It's the raw strength to put in the work when you don't feel like it. It's the power to just say no to things that will drag you down. It's about keeping your emotions from running the show and having the grit to push through hard times without giving up. And that is why the wisest people in history saw this quality, call it temperance, call it self-discipline, as the ultimate form of greatness. Why? Because everything else is built on top of it. Your talent, your luck, none of it matters as much as your ability to control yourself. That's what decides your fate. And here's the most important part. This isn't a performance. This isn't about looking good for other people. It's about being the commander of your own mind, your own body, your own spirit, especially when nobody else is watching. It's about you demanding the best from yourself, for yourself. And to see just how powerful this is in the real world, let's circle back to our guy, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Before he was the famous General Eisenhower, before he was president, this man spent 30 years, plugging away in pretty unglamorous military jobs. He had to sit back and watch other guys get medals and promotions while he was doing the hard, thankless work. Can you imagine the patience, the discipline that took? So when he finally did get to the absolute peak of power, commanding millions of troops with his finger on the nuclear button, he knew his greatest weapon wasn't his army. It was his self-control. His real power came from his ability to persuade, to be patient, and most of all, to master his own famous temper. This was a lesson he learned as a kid. His mother used to quote a line from the Bible that became the core of his entire philosophy. "He that ruleth his spirit is better than he that taketh a city." Think about that. Conquering yourself is a bigger victory than conquering an entire city. Eisenhower changed the world because he first learned how to conquer himself.
So, after all that, the focus comes right back to you, right back to that charioteer sitting inside your own head.
And here is the beautiful, powerful irony that ties this all together. We think discipline is a cage, that it restricts us, but it's the exact opposite. Discipline is the only thing that actually sets you free. Free from your own worst impulses, free from chaos, free to finally become the person your higher self knows you can be. And look, this isn't some choice you make once and you're done. No, every single day you wake up and you're standing at that same crossroads. There's the path of least resistance, of indulgence, of distraction. That's the lower self's path. And then there's the path of discipline, focus, and long-term achievement. The easy way or the right way. The life you want is waiting for you. The potential is there. So the only real question left is, are you going to grab the reins?